Hi, everyone. So this is going to be Escape Tangibles Intergroup assignment 1. So this is going to be talking about the section 3 of the training project 1A and 1B. So we're going to first be introducing ourselves in the groups. My name is Meg, and I am part of the Escape group.
I'm Julie, and I'm also part of the Escape group with Meg.
I'm Anita, and I'm part of the Tangible group with Rana.
Yep, and I'm Rana in the Tangible group.
And so before, since it's our first time meeting and having this intergroup, we decided that we wanted to introduce ourselves and talk a little bit about where we are and what we're doing. To start, I live in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I actually started a couple days ago with an RBT job. So I've been finishing full-time school this past year, and before that, I was a special ed teacher. So it's been really cool to apply the knowledge that I've been learning in these classes to being a behavior technician for the first time. And it was really cool to see the clients in the clinic for the first time.
Awesome. So I live in Austin, Texas, and I'm one of the lead RBTs in my little clinic here where I live. And so I've been doing this for, I want to say about 2.5 years. And I absolutely love it. And I love being able to apply what I learned in school and what we learned in school immediately to my work and teach others when I do my trainings and stuff. So it's a full circle moment. It makes me even more excited to be a BCBA.
So, so I've actually switched careers. So I've only been in ABA for about little over a year. I spent many years working in higher education with adults, so I definitely love working with kids and that whole aspect of it. I live in a suburb of Cleveland, Ohio. I'm pretty lucky to live right on the lake, so it's a block away. I can just walk to it. And yeah, just looking forward to graduating in July, hopefully testing by October because these 2,000 hours are taking forever. And my position is technically BCBA student analyst / RBT, but mostly I work as an RBT. It's really hard to find time during work to do all the unrestricted stuff.
Very cool.
And I'm Rana, and Anita and I only live an hour apart, although we've never met in person. So I live closer to Youngstown, Ohio. This is also a second career for me. For my first career, I worked in a pediatric hospital for 12 years as a clinician and then as a supervisor. And then I found ABA and was ready for career change. So I've worked as an RBT for 2.5 years almost. And then I'm also a BCBA intern, obviously. This is my last class. Woo woo! Yay!
I didn't realize, I kind of was late to the game with the whole, we need 2,000 hours. So I'm glad I'm going to start being able to get those because I have none. So it's good. I know it's going to be a while for me, but luckily the clinic that I started at, a lot of the RBTs are actually BCBA students or have just gotten their master's and are just trying to get those unrestricted hours now. So that's been a new thing for me to learn. I know this group project has been kind of hard. What have you guys found to be working for your group to start?
When we met with the professor, was that 2 weeks ago, Anita, that was really helpful because she just reassured us that although we felt really overwhelmed by that 54-page introduction to this assignment, that she was open to, if you didn't meet criteria, you get to redo it again. So that helped us, all of us type A's, feel more reassured that we could meet the criteria we needed to be successful in this class.
That's good.
I know me and Megan and I have had the similar experience. I've met with a teacher a couple times for our group. And she's reassured us and she's like, it's fine. You guys are doing great. You guys will have, if not, you have a chance to redo it and fix it for a later, for later times. And I'm like, oh, okay, that makes me feel a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. What have you guys found that it's been the most difficult part of this so far? I know it's hard to pick one.
So, well, I think once we met with the instructor and she explained to us, and I think we sort of knew going into it when we kind of all read everything on our own, that they've totally changed this group project for this semester. So I feel like we're kind of the guinea pigs students, that maybe next semester some of the kinks will be worked out based on what feedback we give. So, that's been difficult, like trying to interpret all the different things and then just constantly feeling like not doing enough, or then on the other hand, like overthinking everything. So once we met with her in person via Zoom, I should say, not in person, but it kind of, like Rana said, it helped to alleviate that stress. But it is a little frustrating that, it's kind of like, oh, we're the guinea pig class for the new way to do it.
Yeah, I feel like we've had literally the exact same experience, just because we've even literally used the same term, guinea pigs. I know when Julia said that she's met with a professor, that she's even been frustrated at times because this has been hard for the professors to kind of see how things have changed. And I do hope that, like, with all the kinks that have been working out this semester, that it gets better for everyone else after us.
Yeah. I think it'll be a good experience when we're done. We can be like, we did it.
Yeah.
So I don't know, just like a pat ourselves on the back, like we made it through. We were the guinea pigs, the test bunnies, and we're helping the future BCBAs.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well,
I was going to ask, don't mean to cut you off, Meg. I'm sorry. Are y'all ready to dive into the feedback and get the nitty gritty stuff?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay,
Yes.
I'm going to share my screen. And if you guys don't mind, do you guys want us to give our feedback first?
That's totally fine. Yep.
Sure.
Okay.
So for this part, for the video purposes, the Escape group is going to be giving feedback, written and verbal, to the tangible group first. So that's what this is doing now. To be respectful of everyone's time, we're trying to keep it to 10 minutes or less to ask questions, go through the feedback. If we do need to go over, then obviously we can do that. But I'm going to start a timer for 10 minutes starting now. If we go over, then that's totally fine as well.
Yeah. And then we also wanted to clarify, another group partner and I, Brittany, we both met last night to go over. And so we wanted to really clarify, because the things that we wrote in our notes were very just short points. So we wanted to make sure, because I know verbal stimuli or written stimuli, terms and sorry, word vomit. And can come off harsher than we intend to. It works out for text messages and emails and all that stuff. You never know the tone the person intended. So we just wanted to talk about it to make sure not, because I know it could sound really blunt and rude, but we wanted to make sure we all 100% did not intend it to be that way. It was just things we noticed, because we were trying to think of the trainer's perspective, not knowing the education level they are in, and also thinking of, Meg, you said it was supposed to be an 8th grade.
So earlier in the training manual, it mentioned having no more than a 8th grade education level. So just to keep that in mind when writing this as well, because there were some terms that us as ABA students would know, but as a person who doesn't have that much or that high of education would question what it is, the purpose of it.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So one thing we really wanted to point out is we both loved, me and Brittany, Brittany and I, also Megan and I, love that you guys were really good to clarify what each of the acronyms meant. So you always wrote it out before of functional communication training was FCT. So instead of, it wasn't just because you've done that before in papers and stuff where they just throw in an acronym and you're where did this acronym come from? What does that mean?
Yes.
Yeah, so I love that you guys did that, especially for DRA. It made it easier. I mean, obviously we all know what it means, but if an 8th grader or someone with an 8th grade education level without any training, they're not going to know what FCT is, what an FCR, what a DRA is. So it really helped that y'all spelled it out for us before just throwing it in there, essentially. And then Meg, did you have anything to add really quick, or?
I'm gonna pull it up actually on my phone just so I can have it in front of me too.
Okay.
So I know we're gonna try and go like down the line, but
As like, we can always skip. I think we were just, confused at the very beginning for your alternative, or for the function-based consequence, like for your differential reinforcement. Did you guys have a specific one you wanted to use, or just like differential reinforcement in general? Was it like all of them, like DRA, DRI, and DRO, or just, was it a specific, method, or like, you know what I mean?
Yes. No, I think that's a good point. I think that was actually just us misunderstanding what our expectation was that we were supposed to be doing.
Got it. Okay.
So
Well, thank
I
you for-
agree. We need to
Yeah.
clarify, because earlier we talked about a DRA, but that doesn't specify. There's a lot of DRs. You're
Yeah,
right.
and so
We
we
need to
were like-
pick one.
Yeah, we were like, well, I get it, like differential reinforcement, but then we were like, but wait, like it, to us, like when we read through, as like Brittany said further down, reinforcing appropriate behaviors, withholding reinforcement of the inappropriate. So to us, it sounded like a DRO. So we wanted to give you that suggestion in case like you hadn't thought of that, because I know like I run a DRO for one of my clients, and like that's what we do is like we like highly, you reinforce like super appropriate behaviors, and then for the inappropriate behaviors you withhold reinforcement and social praise. So we just wanted to give you all that, like that suggestion in case maybe.
Hold on, go back. You said something before the DRO that I function. What did you say? I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
was it actually farther down? Because I know that I saw something with like, I know that comment right there says DRO, but then we have go a little bit more down, I think.
Oh, where did you say it was more of a DRO? That's where I was going. When you said, oh, we thought this was a DRO.
Let me see let me click on her part. This one, meaning that like incorrect and appropriate responses will be put on extinction. So that's what, from our understanding, we feel like that's what happens in a DRO is, you put those inappropriate behaviors, whichever they may be, like, aggression, tantrum, screaming, throwing, property destruction, whatever it is. You put those one on extinction. So
how would you guys differentiate a DRO from a DRA, which commonly has also a component of extinction?
It's actually a really good question.
Because
Nate, do you have any suggestions?
Because like when I think about DRA with extinction, I think you want a Cheeto. Okay. I'm no longer going to give you the Cheeto unless you man for it appropriately. So tantrums will not get you what you want because that's now on extinction. Giving me a peck will now differentially reinforce the alternate behavior of exchanging a peck.
Okay.
So with that extinction component, I'm no longer answering that behavior, only a correct mand.
So yeah, I guess that is more DRA because you're doing an alternative behavior to that. I know for like, DRO, like other behaviors, so you'd be reinforcing all the other behaviors besides throwing or whatever it was. I think you said throwing or aggression. What was it? I think, because you guys said something about, no, you didn't say anything about using a token economy. You had said something below about extinction.
We did. We talked about the multi-component is a DRA with extinction.
Okay.
Right,
yeah.
Right, Anita?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. So I guess it's up to y'all which one you want to use.
Okay.
I just know like DROs are more, they're more of like a schedule in a sense.
Yes.
So I guess it just depended on if you guys want to make it more of like a schedule of reinforcement. If they're on a token board and after every token, then they get this. And then after like 5 tokens, they get like a bag or, anything like that. So I guess
how would you recommend in what you're thinking, using a DRO with functional communication training? Because that's one of our interventions.
Okay. Trying to think. So functional communication training. So like you're reinforcing like functional communication. So you could put like screaming, hand pulling, flopping, or like any like the, you know, how like a lot of our children, when they're learning how to talk, they do have those like those, the stereotypy of their voice where like they're like, just to, like gesture you to get your attention. So you could put that on extinction and only appropriately like reinforce, like maybe like tapping your hand in that sense, if they're still obviously learning how to talk, somehow like appropriate, some kind of form of appropriate like nonverbal communication. It could be like tapping your hand and like pointing to what they want. That's very appropriate for a kiddo that's nonverbal. Using their PECs, either their PECs or their AEC device appropriately, any kind of sign language, just even signing like all done, or any kind of appropriate like verbal communication. And then say like give them, I don't know, five like token blocks or whatever, and each token block is like the time block is dependent on them. So like obviously if they're eating food, they're probably not going to need like a minute each, because they're going to be eating, and like fingers crossed they're able to eat by themselves. But even if they're not, like you can always like incorporate handing them their food, so you could naturally do like NET teaching in a sense of having them ask for more, either by doing this or like verbally saying more, or using a device or like any kind of ABA technology, or like pointing to it. So those are all, I feel like, you know, good functional communication ways that could be
I
incorporated.
never thought about using a DRO with FCT, but you make some really great points. So we will definitely bring that to our team's attention.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like, oh, sorry, I have a Charlie horse on my foot right now, and it hurts so bad.
I'm sorry.
I know we're at 30 seconds left, which is crazy how fast 10 minutes can go. I know like we have a lot to still discuss, but I know that one of the main ones that we noticed, besides like definitely going between the two, at least you guys have some options to talk about to improve that. And then we did notice that in the second paragraph for the multi-component function-based intervention, there wasn't, if you go down, Julia, there was the definitions from the Cooper book, but other than that, there was no literature to support those that intervention that you guys chose. I think that this one was the DRA with the extinction. So just to make sure to include some literature besides the book, like I think it was the peer-reviewed articles about DRA with extinction to include that as well.
Yeah, and then
I'm
so sorry, Meg.
No,
Also, one thing Brittany and I noticed was, and I know, like fully calling us out, we made a mistake on this too, of the multi-component is, or wait, I think you guys did that. Maybe never mind. I'm sorry. Ignore me.
You're good.
Calling us out in the future.
Right.
We made a mistake. Multi-component, you guys did it, so I'm just gonna like put us on blast. It's supposed to be, we were supposed to put an antecedent intervention and then a consequence intervention. But I do believe y'all did that. I think you guys did do that. So I'm 100%, sorry, Meg, putting us on blast. And that is something we need to fix. So great job. I also wanted to we wanted to say that, oh my gosh, where was it? I think it was this. Or where did it go? I'll just click on that. Oh, this one. That's where it was. I know it was at the end of one of them. We honestly thought this was a really good idea, and it made a lot of sense of the reason for this thinning is to thin reinforcement and to make it more manageable for caregivers. Because as we all know, it's really overwhelming when you have such a thick schedule of reinforcement or anything like that, and you're don't want to extend time on talking. So great job. We thought that was amazing.
And I believe we do send this to you guys as well. So you guys have the written copy, right?
Perfect.
Yeah.
I think so. That's what I was intending, and I'm also trying to write notes.
Awesome. I think we hit, we talked about the fact that just to make sure to define all the jargon and ABA terms, to make sure that it can be read by a trainer of no more than an 8th grade level education level. And then just to add the literature listed in the second paragraph, because the literature references for the first paragraph were really strong. And then the only ones that were used for the second one was the Cooper book. And that was just to define.
Yeah, sorry. Also, I saw the notes. Both of the interventions you guys used were consequence interventions.
Hmm.
So I'm putting both of those on blast. I'm sorry.
I'm also typing this while you're talking.
Okay, yeah. So that was I think it. Like the rest of it is just some like grammatical things that we were like, we would want someone to tell us, so we're gonna tell you. But yeah, is there anything else like you guys wanted more clarification on, or oh, I guess this is another point we kind of had. Sorry, this seems a little more important. We were wondering if like, do you guys plan on like suggesting their baseline being done for this procedure? Are you guys just gonna go all in and with it?
That's a great question. The correct answer is there should be baseline data.
Okay, perfect. And then I'm sorry. Awesome.
No,
And
you're
then-
good. You're correct.
Thank you. Thank you. And we were just thinking of it as like from the terms of it's supposed to being like the trainer, like the teacher, like the trainer obviously training the teachers to implement it. Of like, this is just more of like, honestly, like maybe like a nitpicky thing, and maybe like we were, you know, like we're so used to writing from the side of a behavior analyst of like the behavior analyst wouldn't be the one implementing the DR rate. It should be like the teacher or the instructor, the caregiver, or whoever it is. But we just wanted to bring that to your guys' attention to like help you guys out.
Good point.
And I think that's
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
I think I'm done talking now, so I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. That's what we're here for.
Awesome. Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Okay, now the tangible group is going to provide feedback to the escape group. So, and I didn't say thank you guys for your feedback. It was great, very helpful.
You're welcome.
So like you guys did, we kind of have our comments along the side. Overall, I thought your guys's was very well written. And you had some really strong references in your 2 paragraphs. I would say one thing that even our team was going back and forth about in the last 2 hours as we were preparing for this meeting, Anita, and please feel free to pipe in, was I had brought it up, but I wasn't sure where we landed about token economy. Is token economy considered a secondary reinforcer or a conditioned reinforcer? So we were kind of going back and forth. It's yes and yes. So it's a secondary reinforcer, but if you don't condition it, it doesn't become reinforcing. So in there, it just referred to token economy as a secondary reinforcer. So I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that, because we were literally going back and forth, and so we were like, get out the Cooper book.
Yeah.
And that's where we kind of landed on yes and yes. It is, but you have to condition it, because if you just handed a kid a token economy, they would be like, well, I don't know what you want me to do with this, you know?
Yeah.
Just
I
like
think
we're
like-
conditioned to like money. We like money because we're conditioned to like paychecks.
Yeah. No, that's actually a really good point, and something I honestly didn't even think about. Having to like condition earning tokens to a reward at the end of the day, because like even sometimes like my kids still don't care about earning a token.
Mhm.
They're like, I don't care about that, I want to go do this. And I'm like, but no, you get to do that if you earn your tokens. So like earn your tokens and you get more of it.
Yeah. I have a client who engages in escape behavior and uses tokens, and the decrease in escape, I increased their VR schedule. So they literally noticed when I went from an FR1 to a VR2. They're like, why do I have to do so many questions now, more per? So it's conditioned.
Yeah. No, thank you. That's, I think, something we'll definitely talk about too when we meet.
Awesome. Anita, you have anything that you want to add? I don't want to monopolize.
No, you're doing great. I'm totally fine.
Okay.
I was just gonna go through all the comments on the side as well. So I think we were thinking the same thing.
Okay. Let's see. Alyssa gave some formatting about the function-based consequence iteration discussed is a token economy, just basic, written text feedback. And Veronica mentioned about parsimony is a part of ABA, using the simplest explanation for things. You guys can see my comments about token economy when we were literally going back and forth together, trying to sort that out. But I really like how you guys do have that multi-component. I liked your explanation of the token economy, which you're right, it is a function-based intervention for escape behavior. I don't know why I never thought about it that way, but you were right on the money. And then you guys explained how you would use that as a DRO. I was unclear in my brain, but after I heard you, Julie, describe how you think of a DRO, it makes so much more sense. So in our previous 10 minutes. So that makes sense about where you guys, where you guys were going with that. But other than that, I mean, we thought you guys had a lot of great content and did a great job and captured what it is that you guys had, your goal, I guess, per se. So just little things.
Yeah, thank you. So I guess, sorry.
No, you're good.
From your guys' perspective, like, would you obviously like fixing all the grammatical errors and like the things that from the feedback you gave us, would you also say like this could be easily understandable from an outsider's perspective once we clarify and change everything?
Or were there any like definitions that you want us, like that you would think that someone with not an ABA background would need more understanding on?
That's a good question. That sometimes feels like a tricky task when you eat, sleep, and breathe it these days. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's all I talk about.
I dream of token economies at times. So it's still like.
Honestly, I think it's good that you brought it up because I wasn't necessarily thinking of it that way because this past year and all these classes we're so used to writing it a certain way that now from that other perspective, it's like, oh yeah, would I really be saying all these things to somebody, you know, who just started? So I think it's a good, it was something really good to point out because then we could go back and think about it that way too. So
I would say that, let's see, the third sentence where it says, hold on, I lost it. And the tokens would be an effective classroom tool for reducing the amount of problem behavior. When I first read that, I thought, are they only referring to classroom-based implementation? And when I think of classroom, I think of, I don't know, general ed kindergarten. Or are we thinking classroom in the sense of it could just be me and my client and I'm the BT?
So you want to define the setting would be a good way of where we're going to be implementing.
Because it would be really tricky to implement. Let's say you had one kid with an IEP who needed token economy. He'd almost need a one-on-one or a two-on-one to implement that successfully. Yeah. You know, a teacher with 15 other kids couldn't use that in a classroom setting.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. Thank you so much. I wrote that down because we should definitely make that clear of how, like, even if we just took out classroom and made it an effective tool to use in like a one-to-one, like, or like, and just maybe like define like that scenario, more than one, because we're also using this for, this is in a training manual. So like, obviously it's like it's going to be for certain kids or clients that we're going to be using it for. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Well, I think we're about close to the end of our time.
Awesome.
It's weird how fast time goes.
I know.
Awesome. So this will be the end of our recording. I'm going to be stopping it, and then we will be sending each other our forms with this updated feedback. I'll also be putting this on YouTube, like my YouTube link, so we can have that what is that called? URL code or link, and then I'll send it to you guys as well, so you have it for your upload, and we'll have it for our upload. Because I believe that we upload, we do upload it. So this will be the end of the time to thank you guys for meeting with us and starting this relationship for our intergroup projects moving forward.